Yo, what is going on, guys? This is Pufferfish667 back with another video. In today's video, I have a nice little tutorial for you guys on how you guys can improve your aim, your accuracy, how you guys can get that godlike aim. Because when I'm streaming, one of the most frequent questions I get asked is, yo Puffer, how is your aim so good? How do I get good aim? A lot of people, they say they're missing a lot of shots, they're not consistent with it, and while I'm streaming, I can't really go in depth and give them everything they need to know on how they can improve their aim. So I thought I'd make this video for those guys wondering, and just for anyone else who just wants to whether it be dramatically or slightly improve your aim. So without further ado, we'll jump straight into the first. So the very first tip that I will always tell everyone, and it is the best way to improve your aim, is just by playing the game. The more you play the game, the more muscle memory you're building, the more you'll just gain a feel for everything, and ultimately the better your aim will get. I have like 2,500 hours on this game, and that is probably one of the biggest reasons why I'm able to consistently and frequently hit my shots. If you just keep playing the game, it's going to be a very gradual increase, because aim is not something that you just get overnight. Aim takes years and years to develop to get to a high tier level. And that's why if you watch someone who's been gaming for 10 years, someone who's been gaming for 5 years, the guy who's gaming for 10 years is probably going to be way better at aiming, because it's not something that comes overnight. But if you just keep practicing, you just keep playing the game, I guarantee you, just over time, you will see big improvements in your aim. And this is the by far most important tip, trust me. Just play the game. Another thing that is really important on top of just playing the game is playing the game as consistently and as frequently as possible. In life, consistency is key in a lot of things, and aiming is no exception. And I'll explain to you why you want to play the game as frequently as possible using this example. So let's say you have two dudes, they both really want to improve their aim. So to do so, they are going to put 100 hours into Apex. One guy, he's going to play 1 hour every day. The other guy, he's going to play 1 hour, every week, maybe every half week. The guy who plays every day is going to see a much bigger improvement by the end of his 100 hours than the guy who plays weekly or bi-weekly. And the reason for this is because the guy who's playing every day, he is constantly refining his skills. He's learning something one day, and then the next day when he goes back to maybe perfect it, it's still fresh, it's still there. It might not be as good as it was when he had a bunch of time to practice it, but once he gets the hang of it again, it'll probably get better. The guy who plays, once a week, bi-weekly, by the time he goes back to maybe refine a skill, maybe he's trying to get the tracking down on a certain gun, he's gonna lose a lot of that muscle memory in that time. He'll still have a bit there, and it'll be better than when he first started, but he's still gonna struggle because he isn't refining that muscle memory and getting it on lock. It's losing a bit in that long time frame he's taking to play. So by the end of the 100 hours, the guy who consistently plays builds up that muscle memory, builds up that coordination with whatever gun they're trying to use, or just in tracking in general, is going to see a much bigger improvement in their aim. So another really important thing that will help you get better aim is getting recoil control on lock. If you're not good at controlling the gun's recoil, you're not going to be able to hit your opponents at all. Recoil is a huge part of this game, and luckily it's very predictable and very easy to learn. And similar to the first tip I gave you, honestly the best way to get recoil control on lock is to just play the game. When you're starting out, trying a new gun, going into firing range and just getting that initial feel for it is really good, but you got to remember, when you're playing firing range, you're shooting someone who is standing still. You're shooting a dummy. It is completely different to track recoil on someone standing still compared to someone moving. So get the fundamentals and the basis of recoil control in firing range, but it is definitely more important to go in game and practice with that gun on people, you know, who can actually move, who can actually strafe, who are actually going to hit you with some movement and make it difficult for you. So another really important thing about getting good aim is kind of understanding your guns and, you know, what they're meant for. And what I mean by this is, let's say you have, I don't know, a Prowler and a Spitfire, and you're trying to shoot someone cross map. And you're like, oh my gosh, I'm missing every shot. Of course you are. You're trying to use a Prowler and a Spitfire at range. If you want to hit shots with that class, you got to completely adapt your playstyle around it. You got to get up in people's faces, you know? Same thing goes if you're using G7 Scout or Longbow in close quarter. You're probably not going to hit a lot of shots with that. You don't want to be taking that gun up in close quarter. So just be aware of your gun, you know? If you got close range guns, you're not going to hit shots at long range, so don't even bother. Adapt your playstyle around it so where you can go to where the guns are meant to be used and where you will actually be able to properly hit your shots. So another thing that I think is really holding a lot of people back is playing on a TV and not a monitor. Now a monitor, it has a very little input lag to whatever it's on, you know, console, PC, and this is because, you know, when monitors are made, they want as little input lag as possible, especially gaming monitors, because input lag is basically impossible to track, even with something as small as like half a second of input lag. TVs, you know, obviously the manufacturers, they probably realize people might game on it, but that's not their main, you know, intention. It's just to watch TV where you really don't need a really good input lag. So you get a lot of input lag on TV, and it makes it so much harder to track. If you're playing on TV and you really want to up your game, get a monitor. It is literally the only piece of equipment that you can get, and you will instantly see an improvement on. So another big thing that I think a lot of people should really, I guess, stop doing in a sense is, you know, try to hit some players with crazy movement or doing some ASU type stuff when it is just not necessary. Movement can be really good and it can really help you in fights, but if you overdo it, it can really hurt your aim, which overall aiming is the most important thing. If your movement is really good but you can't hit a shot, you're gonna die in the fight. So just don't go too crazy on the movement. A big thing I see a lot of people do is crouch spamming a lot. Don't crouch spam. You can, you know, add a crouch here and there, maybe bob up and down a fair bit, but if you just constantly shoot someone to go on your crouch button, you're going to miss so many shots. 99% of players cannot crouch spam and hit shots consistently, so just chillax on it. Crouching mid-fight, yeah, it's good, but when you're just spamming it and doing it every single second, it's really gonna hurt you. And just overall, just trying to hit a lot of enemies with movement can really hurt your strafe, you know. I like advanced movement, and it is good sometimes, but a lot of times just keep it down to the basics. Just keep it down to strafing. That's really all you need, because if you're just trying to do these crazy, you know, in and out flick shots, you're gonna miss a lot less shots. So just calm down on the movement and really focus on aim. Only really hit the movement if you can, if you know you can, if you're good at movement and aim, or if you are just desperate and you're both one shot and you really need them to miss bullets. So that's really basically it. You might be surprised, like, oh wait, what, that's it? And it is, because when it really comes down to it, the big thing that improves aim is just playing the game, practicing. That is all there is to it. There's no, you know, secret tip or do this and your aim will increase by 50%. It's literally just playing the game, practicing, refining your skills. Yeah, you can do the other stuff like maybe getting recoil down really good on a specific gun, but at the end of the day, you can have the best recoil control in the world. If you're not practicing the actual tracking, you just ain't gonna get it. So just go out, play the game as much as possible, play the game as frequently as possible, and I guarantee you guys will see a big improvement in your aim. So that is it for me. If you liked the video, or more importantly, if you learned something, make sure to smash that like button, comment, turn notifications, you know, all that stuff. And that is it from your boy. I'll catch you all in the next one.